Good morning, security gang. Welcome. It's good to be with all of y'all this morning. James Azar here, host and Chief Information Security Officer. Thank you for tuning in Monday, January 19th, 2026. I still can't get over how short our intro is now. At one point, it was 2 minutes to kind of get people up to speed, join the stream, the whole nine. Last year was about a minute 50. Then we went down to about a minute. Now we're 15 seconds. 15 seconds. That's it. That's all it takes to get the live stream going. And I'm used to kind of hearing the stuff. And we're still working on a new intro for the show. But nonetheless, it always catches me off guard because I'm getting ready for the show. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. We've got a packed show here today. And for those trying to tune in on LinkedIn, it seems like we may have an issue with the LinkedIn live stream this morning. We're trying to figure that out, but if not, the show will re-air on LinkedIn there. It might be an issue on LinkedIn's end is what I'm being told. So we'll figure that out. Good morning, everyone tuning in. Busy show. All right. First of all, federal holiday today, Martin Luther King Day. A day to remember the greatness of a man. Look, in our lives, there are no perfect heroes. There's no one who's lived a perfect life. The expectation that people with in public light will have a perfect life is a fallacy sold to us by Hollywood. Martin Luther King did a ton. I happen to live in the city of Atlanta, where a day like today is marked deeply in our city of Atlanta. And so shout out to everyone honoring the Martin Luther King Day. No school today, obviously, federal holiday. Government offices are shut down. Banks are closed. And all for a good reason, remembering the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King and what he did with the civil rights movement is something to be thought of and honored. So thank you for that. And go check out more about his legacy. Obviously, you'll see that everywhere today. And we should continue because our history isn't perfect, but the only way we don't repeat our history is by learning it and making sure we don't go back to it, not any other way. So we've got a packed show today, folks. If you're looking on the screen and you're watching us live, then you're seeing my article over the weekend, the illusion, the end of the illusion that China was somehow ever going to be part of the Western world. China's put its foot in the sand. We'll talk about that today, how it's moving to squeeze out U.S. and Israeli cybersecurity companies from its environment. Starlink facing a real-time resilience test in Iran. Iranian state TV also gets hijacked on air. We'll talk about the Maduro operation and cyber attacks, as well as Anchorage police yanking servers offline after one of their vendors was hit. Then we've got a lot to talk about, including a breach in Canada, a raid on the alleged Black Basta members, a Sitecore zero-day used for initial access, 5 data stealing Chrome extensions, and a pivotal NSA Cybercom confirmation hearing, as well as an initial access broker's guilty plea. Yes, this is the kind of weekend we've had, folks. It's been jam packed. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and do a tradition here on the show. If it's your first time tuning in, I've got my double espresso. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. The reason we take an espresso shot is because this show's really under 15 minutes. And we try to get a lot done in that time period, so you need some caffeine. Okay. The industry has responded to China's reported ban on their security software. More than a dozen companies were named in it, mostly all publicly traded companies like CrowdStrike, Palo, Checkpoint, VMware, SentinelOne, Recorded Future, Clarity, McAfee, Rapid7, Google Mandiant, CyberArk, Impreva, Cato Networks, Broadcom, and so many others. Well, everyone kind of had something to say. CrowdStrike saying, like, look, we don't sell to China. We never wanted to sell to China. We don't have employees or offices in town. So, and they also took a dig there, like, unlike our competitors. There's that aspect there as well. So that's one aspect there from our friends over at CrowdStrike, but many others. Checkpoint does operate in China. They're still saying, like, hey, we haven't heard anything yet from the Chinese. We continue to operate and support our customers that operate in China. Again, look, this is I think it's a power play. It's not a real move. I think it's a media move to try to put pressure on stock prices, cybersecurity stocks are some of the best performing stocks outside of energy since President Trump took office, and even during the Biden administration, cybersecurity stocks have skyrocketed, and so they're trying to kind of play a little long game here, an economic game, which again, a lot of these companies saying we don't do business in China essentially restores confidence. So if the stock dipped a little bit, it came right back up and someone got a deal on it because it's going to continue to rise. So there's that there as well. So the China's playing the long game here. I talked all about it in the article at cyberhubpodcast.com. Go check it out over the weekend. We'll move to Starlink facing a high profile security test during Iran's crackdown and genocide. Right now, the numbers are reported over 20,000 Iranians were killed in the last week during uprising in Iran. I've yet to see a protest on that one, though, by the way. Haven't seen it. The moral clarity, folks. All right. This is significant because Starlink is kind of viewed as some of the satellite backbone for Western communication. Satellite is viewed as kind of the how we get over the telecom dependencies. Well, Iran is showing some of their cyber capabilities there as satellite links become the fallback when governments throttle or filter the internet. They're making terminals and users high value targets for any RF jamming, geolocation seizures, and legal pressure. Meaning, if you're relying on Starlink, you have to understand some of the risks like intermittent communications and even potential exposure of aid groups or descendants via physical or RF tracking of the signals. You should issue RF OPSEC playbook to your field teams if they're out there, folks. And for the brave people of Iran, keep fighting. Keep fighting. A lot of people are counting on y'all to make a change in your nation, which you so eagerly deserve. All right. In other news against the regime, Iranian state TV was hacked and anti-regime messages were aired across the waves there. Attackers jumped the broadcast trust chain and inject messaging on live TV, which was the only way people in Iran were getting anything because they had shut the internet. The root problem likely included weak segmentation between production, playout, and on-air controls, plus credential reuse. We don't know that for a fact, but that's the kind of anticipated chain here based on several people. The TV played the calls for demonstration and urging citizens to join the protests, and members of the security forces to side with the demonstrator by exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. So the broadcasting authority relies on the Badr satellite to transmit a number of regional. And again, you're seeing the satellite space live in action, folks. Live in action. That's what it was. Live in action. We watched them hit Starlink, and then from the other end, we saw their satellite TV broadcast get interrupted with messaging from the exiled Crown Prince. All of that kind of showing you just how much resilience and how advanced some of this stuff really, really is. Okay. We now know that there were cyber attacks that aided the blackout during Maduro's capture on January 3rd. U.S. officials now briefing the media that cyber weapons were used to shut off power in Caracas and interfere with air defenses radars during the operation, part of the layered approach that may have also included kinetic tools. And again, this goes back to grid fragility, amplifying effects. Some areas stay dark for way longer than others. And that kind of shows you the U.S. flexing its cyber weapon muscles to the rest of the world with the Maduro operation. Not only that, but I mean, going in, getting the guy, not losing any soldiers, a few injured soldiers, and please pray for their recovery, as well as getting the guy and bringing him into New York to be put to justice. Once again, flexing muscles all in one operation, letting the world know, don't go to sleep on us just quite yet. Don't go to sleep on us just quite yet. You may think, but you don't know. And that's the message there. Anchorage police have taken servers offline after a third-party cyber attack. A connected vendor was compromised, and Anchorage police had to pull systems offline to prevent any sort of lateral movement. If you're in Anchorage, Alaska, and we have a few people who tune in from Alaska, expect case management delays and even records access friction while containment proceeds, which could risk exposure of sensitive PII or witness data handled by the vendor and any downtime for public safety systems. And again, you got to put a per vendor network enclaves. You should separate gateways and firewalls in a lot of these cases in front of each third party integration, which is business specific, business mission critical to contain any future blast radius, if doable, by the way. And again, I say that mitigation because if it's doable, you should do it. You've got the budget and the skills to do so. All right. We've gone through our main stories. Let's speed through some of these other ones here to get you going this Monday morning. The CIRO breach exposed data on 750,000 Canadian investors. Then a Canadian invested regulatory organization confirming the breach was suffered last year included the PII information of over 750,000 Canadian investors. The root cause centers on a compromised data exchange workflow, which could now risk targeted phishing, account takeover, and even synthetic identity fraud against high value investors. You want to force app-bound passkeys and not SMS for investor logins at your brokerage or even wealth portal if you're operating in Canada. That'll go a long way to help mitigate any risks from this specific data breach. And again, they're reporting the breach happened last year on August 18th. And now it's January 14th when they actually finished their forensic investigation and began notifications. The police raided the homes of alleged black Basta operators in Ukraine and Germany. The coordinated action targeted people tied to the ransomware's cruise operations and money flows. No single malware trick here. This is actually the human layer disruption. You look at short-term retaliation and reposting of stolen data by affiliates using the brand. You want to ingest the released IOCs and wallets from law enforcement and auto block them in your environment across your mail, web proxies, and even payment controls, all in to ensure you don't allow the affiliates to try to reuse existing infrastructure one last time before they have to go and rebuild. Chinese linked actors are exploiting a Sitecore 0-day for initial access. This is being attributed to UAT 8837. The unpatched internet-facing CMS instances were used to drop web shells and pivot via an IIS worker cred. The root cause is the 0-day into web tier plus exposed admin path, which creates brand site defacement risks, credential theft, and even lateral movement from the web tier inwards. After patching this one, you should rotate machine keys and app or pull service credentials, as well as add WAF rules to block suspicious serializations endpoints from this specific 0-day, which is CVE 2025-53690, and it's a deserialization 0-day in the Sitecore product. So you want to make sure you get that there. Good morning to Almato on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in this morning as well. All right, we'll move to these 5 malicious Chrome extensions that are stealing sessions and data. The popular looking extensions with broad permissions exfiltrate tokens, AI chat content, and even browsing data. The root causes the extension supply chain trust with permissive scopes. The risk here specifically is that SaaS session hijack and even sensitive draft code leakage via the browser. You should log Defleet to an enterprise extension allow list and auto revoke tokens from any extension you remove. If it's your personal browser, don't download extensions you don't trust. And again, the names of the extensions is Data by Cloud Access, Tool Access 11, Data by Cloud 1, Data by Cloud 2, and Software Access. I mean, again, thousands of installs here, but they are stealing your data and then they move it laterally. So on a personal level, if you don't have the tools, just block there as well. All right, hearing for the NSA Cyber Command nominee, Lieutenant General Joshua Rudd, his Senate hearing for confirmation after being nominated by President Trump to wear the dual hat of NSA and Cyber Command chief. The hearing is signaling continuity and national priorities, software assurance, kept focus on critical infrastructure partnerships, as well as forward defense. Faster expectations around exploited in the wild patching is one of the goals here, as well as public-private information sharing, which was something Lieutenant General Rudd spoke about extensively during his hearing, and maintaining a live KEF burn down report, which is also something he spoke about quite in demand as well. So that gives you that one. It looks like he'll be confirmed probably this week and take over there as well. A Jordanian initial access broker by the name of Faris El-Bashiti, who's 40 years old, has pled guilty and is facing 10 years in prison after being charged with fraud-related activity in connections with access devices. The Jordanian was living in the country of Jordan when he was apprehended and extradited to the U.S. He's the initial access broker behind many ransomware intrusions, selling RDP and VPN footholds harvested via password reuse and info stealers. Clear or not, the access economy will persist even when this guy is long gone. But nonetheless, it's good to see this guy get apprehended and extradited to the U.S. After months of lawyer changes, El-Bashiri eventually agreed to a plea deal, admitting that he sold access to 50-plus companies. He will now enjoy the great first-class prison facilities in the United States for a prolonged period of time before he's able to leave, and likely will get deported back to Jordan, where he will have to deal with the Jordanian secret police coming after him. Good luck, buddy. I hope it was all worth it. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern live with all the latest. Sorry for the LinkedIn trouble for everyone that had to kind of switch from LinkedIn somewhere else. LinkedIn's having streaming issues this morning. We'll get this episode reposted on our LinkedIn page the moment we can. Until then, have a great rest of your day, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to go check out cyberhubpodcast.com for all the latest, including our latest article there and exclusive content. And most importantly, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.